Okay.
All right. I think we are live this time. I don't think the chat function is going to work ever, at least today. So, Twitch, stop being weird. But everyone, welcome to At the Line. I am Ty Yeager along with Nic, Yarbrough, and Noah Magaro-Geroge. Everyone is having a good time on this Saturday. Noah's come back from... Oh, yep, forgot about the finger guns. So we got the finger guns from Nic. We got the peace sign from Noah. I'm just going to talk. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to have any fun.
We're used to that, Ty. You talking and not having fun.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
I'm hurt. I'm hurt, guys. I'm hurt. But so we're going to get started. We're going to kind of treat this kind of like an At the Line podcast. So make sure if you do miss any of this, make sure to check this out on At the Line, wherever you get your podcast. I'm going to tweet this out real quick. So we're good to go. I think we got this. But we have a few things that we're going to talk about, including some of the draft prospects that we've seen so far that the Spurs have reportedly had workouts or interviews with. We're going to keep track of also other mock draft selections. Just talked a little bit draft. We got Noah here, Mr. Draft Expert over here. Unlike Mac Pena.
I thought that was Mac. Oh, yeah. I thought Mac was the draft guy, right? According to some.
We were going to talk about rumors about Kelly Oubre, the Spurs being interested in it, also Spurs players being interested in Kelly Oubre. Kristaps Porzingis, we're going to mention that, and then we're also going to talk about maybe some fits for other guys that might be leaving the team. But before we get started, make sure to check out all Spurs coverage by subscribing to Locked On Spurs, or where host Jeff Garcia will give you the best Spurs coverage along with news for San Antonio Spurs. So make sure to check that out, along with everyone else's great places. Let's go and get started. So Noah, you and I have broke a few news so far with some workouts, some interviews. We're just going to go down the list. Spurs have interviewed Keon Johnson, Kai Jones, and I want to say LJ. How do you say it?
Figueroa.
See, I knew I was going to butcher it.
Come on, man. Fiorga?
I don't know. And then the Spurs have also worked out Trey Murphy III, Joe Wieskamp, Jordan Hall, Austin Reeves, Makio Teague. Did I say that right? I doubt it.
Be. Teague?
Actually, I'm not 100% sure. I think it's
Maceo.
Maceo Teague. I don't know. I'd have to listen again. I didn't watch a lot of Baylor this year, to be honest with you, so I'm not super familiar with Teague.
And then I'm probably going to butcher this name, Yves Pons. So,
Yves Pons,
Yves.
Right?
Again, I'm not good with names.
Yves Pons, yeah. He's a French dude. Another French dude.
Believe it or not, I did PA announcing. I was not good at it.
Yeah. Shout out to, on this conversation, shout out to Gabe at All Day Sports Talk. He has not shut up about Joe Wieskamp, and apparently for good reason, because I watched his play, like some tape, and I've seen like the combine stuff that's been going on with him, and he looks like a stud for a second-round pick, man.
So, no, I know that you actually do like Wieskamp. Is it Wieskamp?
Should be.
So, what?
Wieskamp, yeah.
Wieskamp.
Oh,
What do you like from him that you've seen?
Mostly that he's a great three-point shooter, and the Spurs don't really have any three-point shooting. I mentioned a bunch of times on podcasts, on the YouTube channel, and writing. They finished 30th in three-point makes, 30th in three-point attempts, last in three-point rate, which is like adjusted for like per 100 possessions, and then 25th in three-point percentage. It was bad. The Spurs need shooting. I'm going to just be honest. I would avoid Corey Kispert at 12 because if you're drafting in the lottery, you don't want to get somebody who's 22, 23 years old, has limited upside. You might as well shoot for a guy like that in the second round. And while he's not Corey Kispert, he does have some shooting potential off motion, off screens. So I like him. His release is slower than other guys who are elite shooters in the league, but I think that he's still pretty young and he's got some time to grow.
Yeah. And I especially recently, because I was always under the impression that Kispert was like 19 or 20, but seeing how old he is, I just think it's in the position we're in, where we're in a position that I don't see a lot of teams in, right? Where we have like depth at almost every position. We have everything that a star player would want to play around. We just don't have the star. A lot of other teams have stars with no one to play around them. So you don't want to draft for like, you don't want to draft just like a specialist with no upside outside of some shooting. Like, at least that's how I'm looking at it. Like at 12, drafting just a 3-point specialist, like it just doesn't make much sense. Like I don't know if I would take someone like Joe Harris at 12, especially recently, because for someone that seems to offer, I guess what, Noah, does he offer a little bit of defense, right? From what I've seen, Kispert here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gonzaga does a really good job of like teaching their players how to play like team defense, and he's really great at like kind of like Derek White with the verticality near the rim, where he's going to put his arms up, he's not going to foul. He knows how to rotate over from the weak side and help at the rim, but he's not really going to be a great defender. I think he's going to be someone who might get exposed man to man, and he's just it's really going to depend what we see in the NBA, because obviously athleticism, skill, everything is going to be better in the NBA, and we're going to have to see how we adjust. So I'm just not willing to bet at somebody at 12 who's, almost 20, 23, I think. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think you agree with it as well.
Yeah, and it's especially scared me since Joe Harris got shut down, because Joe Harris, he doesn't really bring much outside of some dead minutes and some like weird glares whenever he's off, when they shut him down, when he's turned off, when he's not, if he's not landing shots, he's just not doing much. And I don't think we can afford to miss on a 12th pick in the position we're in, because it'd be nice to have a high lottery pick. We don't. We seem to find a lot of great talent at 29, but at 12, we're in a weird spot where at 29, it was always right. At 29, it's always like, oh, well, it's a 29th pick. It'd be nice to land someone, but you don't expect too much out of the 29th pick or 30th pick or whatever. We've just gotten lucky. Chalk it up to good scouting. I'm not saying like the front office got lucky. I'm saying that we're lucky that these players grew even past what probably the front office thought. But at 12, there aren't players that are a surefire hit, and you're drafting too high to have a miss. So you have to really, like on your podcast, right? You and the guy from, I think he was SB Nation for the Bulls. He was talking about a lottery pick or a lottery ticket. You want to swing for lottery tickets in the position we're in, because if we were to get one even remotely close to a fringe all-star, this team would shape up really well in 2 or 3 years. And we know that Kispert really probably can't be that.
Yeah. I think, 100%. I don't think he's a future all-star or anything like that. But also with like Joe Harris, I kind of feel like, he had a bad series, and a lot of players, just like Ben Simmons, had a bad series. You can have a bad series, but regardless, I think there still is the truth that you're speaking here, and that, I mean, he's relatively limited elsewhere. Like if he's not knocking down shots, the only thing really he provides is the gravity that, he is a threat outside, so they have to pay attention to him, even if he's not knocking down shots. But if he's not knocking them down, there's nothing else that you can really do. But I don't know. It's gonna be really interesting to see where San Antonio goes with this pick. I mean, there's a lot of players, even guys who they've already talked to, who could really fit the bill there.
Yeah, Lauren Spurs in the chat says at tier 2 he has Garuba and Kai, and in his tier 1, what do you think of this? And I'm not against it or anything. His tier 1 of our picks are Jalen Johnson and Moody. What do you think about them?
I think Jalen Johnson is sort of a relative unknown, because he did drop out of Duke. He had some good games there. He looked like a modern forward, right? He can shoot a little bit. He can play make pretty well for someone of his size. He's somebody who is intriguing to me. I like Moody a lot, actually. He's kind of like your quintessential 3-and-D guy. I think maybe has a little more upside than just being 3-and-D. I mean, he really is like a gritty sort of, like if you can think of like Keldon Johnson, that sort of effort that someone brings to the floor on the defensive end. Like that's what I really like about Moody. And then also his ability to knock down shots, really get going downhill to the rim. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I really like Garuba. I'm huge on Usman Garuba.
Yeah.
I've been huge on him for like a year. I think he would be an excellent addition to this team. Now, like granted, he's going to be a little bit like limited as a scorer probably from day one, but I think that's the same thing when you look at like a guy like Draymond Green, and obviously he's not Draymond Green, but he's a really good short roll passer. He has the potential to be like Draymond Green level defensive versatility, like competing for a Defensive Player of the Year award at his peak. And I just don't think you have to overthink that at 12. Like if that's at 12, I don't think you have to overthink that.
So
right?
you're on.
But
you're on,
again,
sorry,
if you want to go with other options, I'd be fine with that too, because.
Oh, it cut out. Sorry, you're cutting out.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
Sorry.
I think my internet connection's a little spotty.
Oh, okay.
Well, your video looks great.
Oh yeah, it does look great. So you're firmly on the train of BPA, right? Best player available. Like that's what we have to do. Like if the best player available by a decent margin is like a 6'4", 6'5" guard, do you take him, or do you look a little bit past that? because I think we're probably in the position where we need to be picking best player available, especially like even at guard. We feel like we're pretty deep at guard, but say Derek has another toe injury, something like that, something bad happens, you know? And if we do pick a guard, do you think that has some implications in free agency that we may be looking to trade someone like Lonnie or something like that in a package?
Maybe, I think it's kind of it's hard because like you want to go BPA to a certain extent, but you also want to go with a guy who has potentially the most upside, and that's not necessarily like the same guy every time. Like Kai Jones, someone I really like, has a lot of upside, but he's also like relatively raw. He's going to have a steep learning curve as a big man learning to play defense in the NBA. His skills aren't really fully fledged. I know people want to say he's a 3-point shooter, but it was like 40% borderline on like 1 attempt per game pretty much. So it's you got to really balance the mix. But I do think if there's a guard like Keon Johnson, I talked to Mark Schindler on my podcast yesterday, like if Keon Johnson is still there at 12, you take him. Like it doesn't matter, you take him because he probably has a higher upside than most of the other people on this roster.
Yeah, sorry. I do agree with that. I meant I should have said this a lot more clear. Not best player available, because like who knows if Kai Jones, if all these people are available and Kispert's available, that would technically probably be best player available because he's the most matured. I meant like highest upside available. You know, the player that you can take a swing on, and I guess at 12 we can afford to take a swing on someone that has like a relatively low floor but an extremely high ceiling. So yeah, that's what I meant, like highest upside, like you said.
Mark Schindler said it best because I was listening to I was listening to that episode today. Mark Schindler said it best in terms of best available, but fits your organization the best in terms of can you get the most out of this player? Can you get the most potential out of them? And like he used Goga Bitadze, how do you say his fucking last name? But
Goga Bitadze.
Like he was saying how Indiana, that was just not really good placement for him in terms of having already Sabonis and Turner kind of fighting out for that 5. So, and I think the same definitely applies with San Antonio in terms of you gotta draft the best. You gotta draft the best available, but what's going to get the most out of them? So, if it is Moses Moody and not Moses Moody, Jesus Christ, Keon Johnson. If it is Keon Johnson, I think that would work for the Spurs. Oh, yeah. But I don't think that say a guy like Bognite or a very smaller guard, I just don't think that's going to fit in terms of he's going to be pushed back behind how many people now with DeJounte, Derek, and Trey Jones, and then that's not even counting if Patty Mills comes back. I just don't think that would be the best situation unless you were getting like a top 3 pick. Yeah.
Speaking of top 3 pick, Noah.
Yeah, I agree.
I forgot where I was going with that. What do you think about?
You're good.
What do you think about trying to do some weird blockbuster trade with Cleveland where we give up like something like Lonnie 12
and some futures.
And like 2 future firsts for Sexton taking on Love's contract and number 3? Do you think that's possible? And if they would agree to that, would you take it? How high are you on Sexton? Because I know they're shopping him. That's what's been coming out at least.
I'm really high on Colin Sexton. My buddy Richard from Mavs Draft, he's also very high on Colin Sexton. And I think there's this sort of false idea that like a player who's putting up big numbers on really good efficiency for a losing team means it's empty stats.
Yeah.
I don't agree. I mean, you look at Devin Booker, someone who put up big numbers on good efficiency for like years, and just the supporting cast was awful. They drafted really terribly, and it was really like Chris Paul and a few hits on draft picks that ended up getting them to where they are. And then you see, oh yeah, this guy was good, but it's something you could see coming from a mile away. And I think Colin Sexton is the same. Like, who do they have there? I like Darius Garland, but Darius Garland has been hurt, or he's not really been able to, I think, really take advantage of everything because he's also playing next to a ball dominant guy like Colin Sexton. Kevin Love's there. They haven't really had a stable roster. They haven't had a stable coaching, coaching. I'm sorry, I'm blank.
Roster.
A stable coach. They haven't had like a coach there every single year.
Let's be honest. If LeBron isn't on the roster
to drive this franchise in a direction, so I like Colin Sexton.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If LeBron isn't on that roster, that Cavs organization is not functional.
Oh, yeah. And, like, I totally agree. Like, anyone in the chat, whatever, y'all can ask Ty. I think even Noah may have seen some of the messages. I've been super high on Sexton. And I agree that a lot of people tend to undervalue, I guess, underassess good players on bad teams, because good players are across so many bad teams. Like, you wouldn't be saying the same about De'Aaron Fox, who I think is better than Sexton probably, but like, people know that he's good. And Sexton is putting up similar stats. I mean, he's 35 minutes a game, 24.3 points a game on 47.5 shooting, and he's 22. And he's barely 22. He turned 22 in January. So it's like 22 and a half, basically. So I just wanted people to know my agenda, that I will be pushing for us to trade for Colin Sexton. I would trade just about anyone for him outside of like probably DeJounte, because I think DeJounte's just like Pops and the organization's guy now. He's like, I think he might be taking the reins from Patty Mills as like that culture guy who will probably stay around unless there's some huge fallout that like probably won't happen, knock on wood.
We got plenty of real wood in
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, I guess like, would you? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but like Nick and Ty, both of you, if like DeJounte was to come up in like a trade discussion, would you be willing to part with him? Because honestly, like at this point, when I look at the roster, I don't think they really should be married to anyone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's just no one who I look like you cannot, like, untouchable.
Yeah, sorry. I would trade DeJounte for Sexton. I would trade DeJounte. I would trade DeJounte 12, a future first, and maybe Lonnie for like Sexton and 3. I would do whatever, if money worked, whatever. I'm not sure that the organization feels the same, because he is such a prototypical Spur player with the Spur work ethic in a landscape where those players are like filtering out. They don't really exist much anymore. The only person that I could kind of compare to like a Spurs type player, the very humble, hardworking, great player, and I was talking about this to Ty, is like, man, do I want Ayton. I want Ayton so bad. He is my favorite non-Spur in the league, and I feel like he would be such a good player for us. But yeah, I think that the front office doesn't see DeJounte as I think they see him as nigh untouchable unless you can get someone crazy, and I could be completely wrong. But I just think that he carries the culture like a badge on his sleeve. You know, he is the epitome of the Spur, and they value that pretty highly. Now, if Pop leaves, you know, he has a lot to say. If he doesn't end up taking a front office role when he dips, who knows? DeJounte has a lot of value, like a lot. And I'm seeing like Lakers fans saying they want DeJounte, and they only want stars for the Lakers. So that has to say something, right?
yeah, and like Nick was saying, for me, I think he's fairly untouchable unless, like someone said in the chat, I can't see the name from here, it's blue.
Neuralizer.
Neuralizer said.
Oh, sorry, Neutralizer. Yeah, and I agree
like he
with him.
said, unless it's for like a generational talent, or say it is a former number one pick, or someone that's going to be the best player on your team instantly, I think that's when DeJounte is touchable.
Yeah.
But if you're getting some cheap ass assets out of it, probably not.
But yeah, like you wouldn't put him in a package for like a salary dump in a top 3 or like top 4 pick. You would do it for a top 2 pick probably, but top 4 pick, because like 3 to 4 is kind of an iffy situation. You could get
at least with this draft.
You could get someone like a Fultz, or you can get someone like a Tatum. Like, it's weird, but I agree, and that's a good point. And Neutralizer also asks, and I'm gonna direct this to both of y'all. Would you be interested in trading for Bagley? Because he's kind of enticing to me.
No, you can go with this one first.
Yeah. I would. I actually, funny enough, I had like proposed the idea of the Spurs trying to buy low on him probably like 3 weeks ago, and people were like, "No, he's a lost cause. He's damaged goods." It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, his value is probably at an all-time low. He's hardly been able to stay healthy. And I think it's kind of funny, like the dichotomy of like Spurs fandom is like they don't ever want to give up on Derek White, and I don't, like, to be clear, I don't either. But like the dude has hardly been healthy. So the argument like, well, this guy's not healthy, I wouldn't want to buy low on him. You wouldn't want to buy low on like the former second pick of a draft who people were really high on, and I think with good reason. He just hasn't been healthy. So like I think a change of scenery for him at a position, the 4 or 5, that is sort of a position of need in terms of depth. Like, yeah, I'd take him in a heartbeat if they could figure out how to buy low and not give up too much to get him.
Yeah, and of course that would have to tag along his work ethic, right? Like you would have to get some type of confirmation from him, because it seems like in San Antonio, if we buy low on someone or bring in like a guy that's not really known to produce much, their story unfolds with their work ethic, right? Like Jonathan Simmons, we unlocked something with him. He came here without it, or he came here, I guess, through an open tryout, but he left it, it disappeared. You see it with like Lyles kind of unlocked it for a little bit, but then we stopped playing him, injuries, a little bit this and that, a little bit of unrest, his work ethic may have dipped, it disappeared. But then you see someone like Keita Bates-Diop, who came in and I would say outperformed where we signed him for. Now that's not saying too much because he was a really small contract guy, but he was putting up like some meaningful minutes on a contract and for a player you thought that would be relegated to like a Luka Šamanić lineup, 3 minutes left in the game, down 24 or up 30, you know? So I think that with someone with the sheer amount of talent like Bagley, I think that the organization could do something with that for sure. Like tap into that and make something out of it if a work ethic was tacked on with it. Because I don't know too much about his work ethic.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that either, but I do know like a lot of times like you see players it just doesn't work out in one location and maybe they need a change of scenery.
Look
maybe
at some
they need a
bonus on that
second
one.
change of scenery to really unlock that. I think someone like Cameron Payne with the Suns, we saw that like he was drafted by the Thunder. He ended up getting tossed around to the Bulls. He played with I think he played with a few other teams, and then he played with the Mavs G League affiliate, the Texas Legends. Just completely figured things out. You know, he looked great there. Joined the Suns, and now look, he's been fantastic with Chris Paul down in the playoffs. So I think sometimes players just need some time because it's easy to forget. Like most of these guys are like 19 years old coming in. Like they're basically 2 years removed from high school competition, jumping to the best league in the world. So I would be fine to bet on him. Again, I think you're right about like, what is his work ethic? That's definitely a question to ask, but I don't know. Like, I don't know the answer to that. I only know one Sacramento Kings reporter, and like, I don't think that anybody's willing to break ties to like, you know, talk crap about some player.
I don't know. I remember you and I and a couple other people had a run-in with a Sacramento Kings reporter on Twitter that was kind of less than great, to say the least.
That's who I'm talking about.
Oh, really?
Actually, you know, it's crazy. We reached out to each other. We like talked, we talked everything out. But I think he was also kind of feeling like just
like
depressed about how the Kings season was going. And I was like, dude, I totally get it. I get it because like the Spurs are kind of in the same situation, but at least you have De'Aaron Fox. Like, that's something to be happy about.
For
like,
at least another 2 years before he leaves, right? No,
oh my Lord.
I'm kidding.
We are just mean today.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, I think the league is going to get shaken up really soon within the next 5 years because, man, like, speaking of it, I'm so glad that the Trailblazers did not hire Becky. That leaves her for us. Most of the vacancies are filled. Rick Carlisle's off the board. But, man, what is it with these teams that are hiring former player turned coaches that haven't shown much or have shown that they're not great with extremely spotty pasts? You know who I'm talking about. The two specific ones that were hired recently on teams that need a culture change, but like what are they doing, right? Like two specific teams with semi-disgruntled stars that like you don't think that like they need a culture change, and you're bringing in some type of culture. I mean, it's a type of culture, but it's not
the best
right
culture. Probably not.
Yeah.
Also, my mic just came off my microphone arm.
I guess it doesn't matter. I'm talking about what Jason Kidd and Chauncey Billups. I'm not going to say what they did. You can go look up what the two did. Both of them. We'll just say spotty
domestic
people.
Violence type things.
Yeah, spotty people. Jason Kidd showed that he was a pretty bad coach. It showed that he ruined Giannis' jump shot. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was gonna say, like, it's funny because Jason Kidd basically like failed upwards into the best coaching position maybe in the league, where you're coaching someone like Luka, who's like top 5, maybe like a top 12, 10 player by the time it's all said and done. I just think that's hilarious. And then with like Mark Cuban making this big promise to Mavs fans that, we're going to change the culture. Never again will we go down this path. Like, we want to do right by it. And then you go and hire someone like Jason Kidd. I just think I understand the hire to a certain extent, but like that doesn't mean I like it. I think it was pretty egregious, to be honest.
It kind of reminds me, like, I don't know how to put it. I feel like they wanted maybe not a yes man, but something along the lines, because we know that, like, I feel like Kidd came in knowing, like, okay, like a Steve Nash role, like, my clipboard doesn't work, my pen is out of ink. Luka, you're the coach, buddy. I hope you know that. And he knows that. And I was listening to Zach Lowe's pod. He had on someone recently that knew a lot about the Mavs organization. I forgot his name. And it actually didn't show it, because I tried to find it for Ty. It didn't show it in the title. He was talking about, and this was right before the Rick Carlisle parting of ways, and he said, if Rick Carlisle makes it to the first day of camp, which he wasn't quite sure that he would, he's on the hot seat. And he brought up the attitude that Luka Doncic has, and it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And he said, be it how good he is, because he's insane. He's probably a fringe top 3 player now. He's insane in playoffs, this and that. Some of it's immaturity. It's probably a mixture of both. I just don't see how Jason Kidd is the answer to your problems, unless it's like a Steve Nash role, who's just on the bench to sell tickets and hype up the team. But I guess, like, since he played for the Mavs, like, it's you can do the mental gymnastics. I do not understand how you go Chauncey Billups over Becky Hammon. I do not think that it's possible that she interviewed that poorly. You know what I mean?
And I don't think it was even that she interviewed poorly. It was just that that Blazers organization decided to go with Billups instead.
Yeah, and it was Dame. And no, you saw the tweet. Dame's really weird tweet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
Man.
And let me see if I can pull that up, because some people may not know. Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard.
I got it.
Yeah, pull it up. Someone kind of criticized the coaching hiring.
So he quote tweeted someone. This is on Dame, in my opinion. They were always going to hire exactly who he wanted, and he wanted Billups or Kidd. They put out names like Becky Hammon and Mike D'Antoni to cool off some backlash and hire a guy who they were always going to hire. And then Lillard quote tweeted it. Really, I was asked what coaches I liked of the names I heard, and I named them. Sorry I wasn't aware of their history, and I didn't read the news when I was 7 or 8 years old. I don't support those things, ... but if this is the route y'all want to come at me, say less.
That's the weirdest, like
it's
sure,
a weird look.
Their history about D'Antoni, whatever you want to say about D'Antoni, you're a basketball player, and you've talked about the WNBA supporting it. You've jumped on the train because they've received a lot of, like, incel behavior towards the league. You've jumped on the train with them. You've supported them. How do you not know the history of Becky Hammon, one of the best WNBA players of all time, and, like, a really, like, pretty good assistant coach for one of the most stable franchises of all time?
And then also add on, how do you not know about the domestic violence between those two?
Oh, he knew.
It's like,
I'm sure he knew.
You have to know, at least with Kidd.
It's
Kidd,
like,
it's not anything quiet about.
And if he didn't know, or, like, if that's the history he's talking about, like, you're picking who decides if you stay with that team. Now, I don't know if, like, this could be him self-sabotaging so he doesn't have to stay in Portland, because that's something that could happen. Maybe he's setting it up to where he doesn't come off in the media, like, if he were to ever force a trade, like, oh, well, Billups was bad. They didn't get me the help I needed. That could be a real thing. I don't understand that. And I guess we're getting way off Spurs topic.
Yeah,
but it's been a weird windstorm of stuff happening in the NBA, and, like, with weird undertones of maybe not misogyny, but, like, just ickiness. What do you think, Noah? Sorry, I've been talking a little too much.
No, you're good. No, I pretty much agree with everything you're saying there. I think most of all, it is a weird thing to say, like, oh, I didn't read the news when I was 7 or 8. Well, that's not really an excuse. You're an adult. You're an adult. If you're going to work with people, you should probably know who you're working with.
Glance our Wikipedia page, man.
He went to college. He's not, like, uneducated.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. He knows what's going on. So even if he actually didn't know about this, he could have informed himself. It's not that hard. It's as simple as looking up someo's name. Like, you wouldn't go on a date with somebody. No, obviously you're not, like, Googling somebody, but you wouldn't, like, go on a date with somebody multiple times and never trying to find any background on them. Like, you would ask them questions about, what do you do for work? What do you do for this? Like, is he not interested in anything that, like, Chauncey Billups did? before he came here? Or, same thing with like the Mavs. Like, were they not interested in anything that came before, or what they stood for when they said they, were trying to change the culture? So I think it's a lame excuse from Dame, but I guess at the end of the day, it's not his decision, but it probably was on him since he was the one who said, these are the guys I want.
Yeah.
Especially with him being a superstar, that's clearly so. At least rumors have been going around that he's been a little bit disgruntled, but the organization was always going to run it through their superstar and Damian Lillard. So it's not like that he did not have a say at all. He knew what was going on. I can assure you that he was most likely in the loop.
Yeah. I think if we can run through 3 things, 5 minutes each real quick before Noah has to get out of here, we can knock out 3 good things. So the first one, real quick, how do you feel about the Kelly Oubre rumors with I believe it just because it's so strange that certain Spurs are eager to bring in Kelly Oubre. We see like DeJounte and a few players dap up Kelly Oubre. They seem to get along pretty well between games, this and that. And I know like some rumors, especially that have to do with the Spurs, are kind of like wishy-washy a little bit. But that one is so bizarre and extremely specific that I'm inclined to believe it. What do you think about not even the undertaking of bringing him in? What do you think about his fit with the team possibly?
Yeah, I think if like Rudy Gay walks, which I'm assuming is probably going to happen, they're probably not going to bring Rudy Gay back. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to. Like, he probably rolls in and fits a similar role. He's not as good of a 3-point shooter, but I don't think he's as bad of a 3-point shooter as he showed at the beginning of this season.
Oh my gosh.
And clearly at this point, he's a fantastic defender. I think he brings a lot more to the table than Rudy Gay does, but I still think you get some of the problems with Rudy Gay where he's kind of a ball stopper, right? He gets the ball, he's one-track minded, he's going to go try to score the ball. But hey, I mean, he's younger. If you can get him for I don't know. I don't even know what a fair value would be, like 3 years, $45 million or something like that. Like,
yeah,
in the last year's an option, maybe.
He's an RFA, right?
So personally, I'm just not super enticed by him.
And it's reported that he wants $20 million a year, which is no. And I want to say that Paul Garcia said that it's like Sports Track or something like that the estimated contract is like a low 13 million to high 17 million, which is still a fairly high for a guy that is very streaky with his 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I guess, but like I think that tracker's probably based off of total season performance, and if he hadn't had that rough start, I feel like it's probably somewhere in between like 18 and 13 for someone that young, taking into account his good defense and his shooting upside for a team like us that needs something like that. Maybe if he would take 13, I would definitely take him for 13. But I don't know. That's beside the point. So yeah, that's just such a weird report. Showed up on Bleacher Report, Yahoo Sports, and then Ty the $20 million a year, which is way too much.
Yeah. So Yahoo Sport, Vincent Goodwill of Yahoo reported that San Antonio was interested in Oubre, and then Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report was the one that mentioned Spurs players were eager to land Oubre in San Antonio.
Yeah, it's kind of like we only have 2 players, but like for $20 million a year, it's like kind of like a marry, screw, kill, like Kelly Oubre or Lauri Markkanen. Like which one? I would, of course, Oubre. Okay. What do you think about the DeMar rumors coming out of the Mavericks front office, especially from people very tapped in, like Fish Sports reported that the Mavericks are extremely interested in DeMar. Would you do a sign and trade centered around DeMar and KP, almost like as straight up for players as possible? And do you think that if that were to happen, like I feel like to take on that big of a contract and a player who the Mavs probably value higher than KP, maybe we could get a pick out of it. I don't know. Would you do even just a straight up KP for DeMar sign and trade?
Yeah, I mean, oh man, that's tough. Again, I think like I said earlier, players not necessarily the sum of their worst series, but we saw KP just didn't look the same this season, and his mobility was severely hindered after the injury. He didn't really have the same sort of vertical pop. He just didn't look like the same player. And one of the things that really bothers me is for a 7'3" guy, when he gets the ball in the post and somebody who's a good 6-7 inches smaller than him is there, instead of trying to back them down or put a move on them, he just turns around, and does a fadeaway, or he just tries to rise up, face up mid range. And that's not, I mean, he wasn't very effective there. So it worries me that you're going to be paying a guy who's injury risk, a lot of money. I mean, maybe if you can get a good pick out of it, but they don't really have that this year. So
Yeah.
probably not. But I don't know. Maybe you have to take a risk if you're the Spurs front office, right? You got to do something
That is
eventually.
true.
But I don't know if that's the move that I want. But I would be okay with it if it happened.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like go home and cry about it. I'd probably be okay.
Cool. Yeah. That's kind of how you feel, Ty. Similar. Yeah. I think we all feel kind of similar. It's like we're not super excited for it, but if it were to happen,
I'm not gonna be mad.
He has some of the most incredible upside in the league if you can turn him around, and I think the Spurs could turn him around. Like, he's already such a good shooter. I couldn't imagine him having a camp with Chip, and then like imagine going from Chip in the morning to Tim Duncan posting you up in the afternoon. Like, I think that could be good for him. But again, I'm not like advocating that we like go hard for him, But yeah, no, I totally agree.
Again, if you can get him straight up for a DeMar,
or even a pick included, like
a future pick or something like that, or just if you can get him for very little, I'm not gonna be mad at all.
And also, from that guy on Zach Lowe's pod, apparently contention, like, even though KP didn't look terrible this year, he looked really great against us in that their last game of the season that we beat them in. Apparently from the start of the year, there was like some serious contention between Luka and KP, and he was on Lowe's pod saying he's not sure where it comes from, but apparently it kind of rubs me like a Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid situation where they're just not meshing the same way they were a year before, and it ate into their play, especially later in the year when the stakes rose. Okay.
So, all right.
Go ahead.
So, Noah, so that's kind of it. I know that you're tired after that Rangers game. Where can they find all your lovely information and all, especially your latest podcast as well?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody can follow me at _Magaro, Magaro on Twitter. Sorry.
Yeah.
You can find my YouTube stuff on YouTube at Noah Magaro-Geroge, just my name. Obviously, you can listen to me on At The Line. I do all this fantastic stuff with awesome people. Nick, I got Ty here. We usually get Mac, but he's not here today. And then lastly, you can find my podcast, Alamo City Limits, wherever you get your podcasts. So make sure to check that stuff out, and really everything that we do at Pounding the Rock, and everybody here too. I mean, everybody here does some fantastic stuff.
Heck yeah.
So awesome again. Thank you, Noah, for coming on. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And
enjoy it, man.
We're going to talk to you later again, man.
Yeah. See you later, bud.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate you guys for letting me hop on, but I'm sorry I have to leave early, but got to call it a night. I am exhausted.
Man, I feel you. Man. I feel you. You're good.
Thanks
You're
for
good.
answering the question. There were a lot of contentious questions that were running through Spurs Twitter, and I'm sure that they'd like to hear it from you.
All right. Make sure to check out Noah and all his beautiful
take care,
work.
guys.
You too, bud.
Make sure to check out Noah and all his beautiful work, and we'll see him later.
Heck yeah. Awesome. So we pulled up the Suns-Clippers game, and it looks like Devin Booker's not shooting so bad anymore. It's 12-2.
What? No way.
Yeah. I honestly blame that on probably the hesitancy, right, for his nose. Like, I know he's wearing a mask, but you could see he was a lot more timid after that game with his absolutely mangled schnoz on his face.
Yeah, so we're going to turn on our end, but
we'll have it up, yeah. No, yeah, I like. Oh.
So, Laura, whatever you were saying, I saw that your message, and I didn't get to it during that. But yeah, you were certainly right. That it's fairly low. It's a low risk in terms of if you're able to get rid of DeMar, sign and trade DeMar for KP. That's very low risk. You weren't going to keep DeMar anyway, and you got an asset out of it. And yeah, the money is $31 million, $33 million, and then $36 million player option, which could be much, but as we've seen, some contracts can be tradable. Man, I see you. What are you doing on my laptop? I see you.
I had it up here and it clicked on the Intuit thing, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Trying to look at all my paycheck stubs. My invoices. But it's very much a low risk, high reward type move.
For sure.
And again, he becomes your best player, a borderline all-star at this point, and it's also a guy that the Spurs were interested in before too. So
yeah, when he fetched quite a bit more.
I want to say that was 2019. It was 2 years ago.
So it was
2019. So
summer of 2019.
It was that weird day where the news came out that oh, the Knicks are looking to trade KP, and then 2 hours later, the Mavs have acquired KP.
Yeah, because everyone was like, I wonder what we could trade for him. And turns out it could just be DeMar.
So,
3.
Phoenix up early. I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to have Noah on because a lot of people look to him for his opinion. And unsurprisingly, we all share pretty much the same opinion because we have a little hive mind going on, apparently.
It's all my fault, guys.
Yeah, it's all your fault. So, yeah, I don't know about KP. I really like him. I'd trade for him over Ben Simmons any day. But I think it was Laura. Someone brought up, I don't see the chat anymore.
It's up there. It's on the screen.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I can see the Knicks getting Oubre. It was from Lord Oubre with a small overpay. I agree. That's such a Knicks move, and it would not be good for their team. They're already the best defending team in the league, probably by a large margin. And they need an offensive initiator, and he does not bring initiation. He brings good defense, okay shooting, and chucking up threes like a madman. And Steve Kerr basically had to beat those threes out of him after the first third of this season. I could see it totally. I still see the Knicks getting DeMar if we don't do a sign and trade. It's just like the perfect fit. I'm still down for the Golden State trade, the Toronto trade.
There's
if he takes Cleveland, I'll take the Cleveland trade.
Honestly, to me, as long as you don't have to give up a lot of your young assets to trade DeMar, I'm okay with, or trade too much capital.
What do you think about the Pistons being Pistons and saying that the number one pick is open, like that they would still entertain?
That's so dumb. So dumb.
How much would you give up for it realistically? Everything, pretty much, anything, like any 3 players they want and 2 future picks.
Maybe it's the issue with that is though it's your trade. I know it's Cade. That's a lot, but your team's already down to only 9 players on contract. And those players are going to most likely be the guys that you're going to put around Cade. But so you're trading away everything that's going to go around him. You're trading away future assets as well to continue building around him. And then you're also going to a fairly weak draft free agent class. I think the timing just would not be right. I know it's generational talent like Cade, but who are you going to put around him if you are getting rid of, say, Devin Vassell, Derek White, and it maybe even Keldon Johnson?
Yeah. No, I agree. Honestly, if we were going after the first pick, I'm almost sure DeMar would be involved, some type of sign and trade for it, just because Casey's up there.
Yeah.
There's too many gymnastics you have to go through to even get to a package for that first pick. So I just thought it'd be funny to talk about.
Chat, by the way, if you have any questions, hit us up. We were happy to answer. We're just going to hang out here watching the game. You can try to put this game on here as well. You tired already?
A little bit.
You can't be tired. How are you tired?
I don't know, man. I'm yawning. Yeah, and that Chauncey Billups stuff is disheartening. Although I'm so glad, we were talking about this, right? I still think that that Becky taking over for Pop is still on the table this year, solely based on the thought process that I had, at least, and I told them about it and they agreed, that Pop might just be mulling his future, and he has no yes or no yet, and he was allowing Becky to go out, allowing she can do what she wants, but saying Becky, go out, interview. Because say he's like, no, stay. I think I want you to take my spot, right? And then halfway through after all the vacancies are gone, they're like, you know what? I'm going to stay 1 more year. That'd be unfair to her. That's not something Pop would do. And I think that's a real possibility that the big reason that Becky was going out and applying for these different positions.
Pressuring the organization to play her.
Yeah, play her and Pop giving her all the room that she wants because he's not, we've seen it, he's not the type to hold back his assistants.
He's not.
At all. He wants them to go out. He has the biggest coaching tree of all time.
Pop is so great with his former players. He was like that with Boban, where he said, Boban, go get your money, even though we should probably like to keep him, go get your money. And that's what Boban did. He's done with Amin, who's now going to be the coach of the Celtics, first coach of color in the Celtics history, which is pretty fucking sad at times. That's sad, but I'm okay. I'm all for change, but
Yeah.
But he's been willing to go tell his guys.
He's the first coach of color in the Celtics history? Yeah. Are you sure?
I think so.
Hold on.
You might want to double check that, but I'm pretty sure. You think Pop leaves? I think possibly there's two different ways I see this going to Pop. Pop retires after Team USA and Becky becomes coach.
Yeah.
Or Pop plays one more season, gets that record, and then retires after next season. Or retires in the middle of the season.
Doc Rivers, dumbass.
Oh, I am a dumbass.
And I'm sure he's not the only one, but Doc Rivers, dude, he freaking...
No, I'm a dumbass because Bill Russell was a player coach. Yeah, I am a dumbass.
He was a player coach, wasn't he? Yeah, Doc
I
Rivers.
am a fucking dumbass.
That's hilarious. I knew that he wasn't the first coach of color.
See, I'm a dumb fuck. That's why you don't trust me. Don't trust me with random trivial information.
That's so funny. Oh, because no, that was like a viral tweet said that the first coach of color.
I think that's where I got it from.
And then everyone in the comments was like, Doc Rivers, dumbass. It's he won a ring with him. Well, they won him a ring. He didn't win a ring with them. I'll tell you what.
All right, I found a workaround. I got the chat in on stream now.
Beautiful. Perfect. Yeah. Shit. What else was I thinking?
Who is everyone going for in this series? Clippers or Suns? I know it's us two. We're definitely Suns.
Well, I'm a DeAndre Ayton fan. You know, I was playing basketball at our apartment complex. There were two kids that were playing. They asked to use my basketball because we went and swam and stuff. And I came to a weird realization. I was like, because I asked one of them, I was like, who do you cheer for? Right? What team do you like? And he's like, I like Kyrie Irving and Donovan Mitchell. And I'm like, you don't have a team? He's like, no. That's the NBA. That's what it's coming to. It's and good or bad, you can have your opinion on it, right? Good evening, Brett. What's up, dude? You're going to have to go back the last hour and see our talk with Noah because it went pretty well.
Don't worry, Brett. I'm going to post it as a podcast. So.
Yeah. It's just maybe disheartening. I find it a little disheartening, but I'm also a DeAndre Ayton stan, even though I'm still a huge Spurs fan. Is kids, and it's the way the NBA media promotes players, is they don't promote teams besides the Lakers. They don't promote teams, they promote players.
Yeah,
and kids these days aren't a fan per se of a team. You still have people that are fans of teams, right? But a lot of younger kids, 12, this kid was probably 12 or 13. And he was like, yeah, I'm a fan of these two players. I was like, you don't have a team? He's like, no, not really, just whatever team they're on. And I'm like, maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I have no idea. I don't see it as great for small market teams.
It's not.
It could help a small market team if they get lucky and sign one of these guys.
Yeah.
But in general, it's not good for them. That's why I've been pulling for the Suns, the Bucks, small market teams. And
you're seeing a lot of that too. LA being probably the biggest market team, but really a small fan base team.
No, yeah, the Clippers are definitely a small market team. They've been for a long time. And I guess they're in a big market, but I saw footage and I saw someone tweet about this, right? After they beat the Suns recently, and someone tweeted about how they left the stadium and no one was cheering, and they're in LA. A lot of these guys are just Lakers fans that came to watch some basketball.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, it's getting chippy. Oh, that's a tech.
It's always getting chippy with these two teams.
Come on, that's got to be a tech, right?
I forgot. Was it Paul George?
Tech on Paul George.
Oof.
Scott Foster finally learns how to officiate something in his life.
Hold on, I'm going to try.
This is definitely a tech. I was wondering how long it would take.
It's a foul, but
no. Paul George gets tech right here. Watch.
That's a tech.
Right there, pushes off. Pushes him. That's a tech.
That's a tech.
Sheesh. No, but yeah, and that's probably sounds like boomer talk, I know. I just thought it was kind of interesting.
No, and I'm with you on that, where it's become a league where people don't cheer for teams anymore. Like we said, it's a lot more player based, and good or bad that is, it's
the reality.
It's the reality. And
I think that we're just going to have to accept it, and I think the front office needs to accept that and get someone who has a player base, right? KP doesn't, Ben doesn't. Like, if we traded for these guys, we could form them into one. But I think that's why we need to go headhunting for some stars, and I think that Pop is going to do his best in Tokyo. Let me tell you what. Brother.
Also, I highly suggest go listening to Noah's our podcast.
Alamo City Limits. You need to go listen to every episode. There's 3 right now, and he talks good basketball on there.
He does more podcasts than we do. I can say that.
Yeah.
But so if you're definitely looking for content, go to see him. Also, make sure to check out the Spurs Zone too. Honestly, Jeff always does great stuff too with the Locked On Spurs. Go check that out. Just there's a lot of content creators out there, and there's plenty of good content to go check out. But it's a player driven league now, no matter which way you want to say it, and I don't think anyone else is going to get out of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's what it is. I mean, like it just happens, and I'm not like upset about it. It's just like, for a team that doesn't have a player like that, really, it's a little like, you're kind of like, man, you're left out of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, but you can understand where younger children are coming from, and eventually you see a lot of these people grow up into liking a team, like sticking to one. But
I'm not. It's again, it's weird where people, like, I met some people in college that just wanted super teams. They didn't care about variety or anything, that they were just dead on with super teams.
Yeah, it's just stupid. And honestly, this isn't trying to slander.
More Chippy?
No, I think he was like saying no. This isn't trying to slander LeBron, even though I do that every chance I can get.
You do that often.
I think it started with LeBron, right? Because people can say, being a fan of someone started with Michael Jordan or like Bill Russell, whoever you want. And not really Bill Russell, but like Michael Jordan. These guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, people who you would think would start that stuff, D Wade maybe, whatever. By default, they didn't start it because these guys stayed with the team. When they were popular, they stayed with the team. You saw it happen. Like, I know people from my Texas high school who had 4 different LeBron jerseys. Like, no, 3. No, they had 4 because they bought the old Cavs jersey, they bought the Heat jersey, they bought the new Cavs jersey, and then the Lakers jersey. And I feel like he started it, and I feel like that will continue for a while, but maybe not to the degree.
I think it didn't even start with. You might have had fans that were fans of Jordan.
Yeah.
But as a result, because he stayed with his team the whole time. So
yeah, besides the Wizards, but that's like the Tony Parker Hornets.
Yeah. And but with LeBron, he was like one of the first superstars amongst guys like Kobe who left their team.
Yeah, emo holic. That's funny. Night. And you know what's funny about that? Hence, we got one game. We got one nationally televised game on accident. We had 0 going into the season, and then schedule shifted around, and they just gave us one. Like, that was it. So it's not even like, it's not even like, we want to give the Spurs one. No, they didn't want to give us anything. They just had to.
It was ridiculous because you looked at the Pelicans had like 23 national games.
Yeah, and they sucked ass. They're bound to lose every single one. That's funny. Emo Holic. Yeah, Murray and Oubre on the same team. Girls are going to love the Spurs. Ha ha. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a pity game.
Don't forget Keldon. Dude, Mariah Carey's a Spurs fan now because of Keldon.
Hey, people are sleeping on Keldon.
LOL. Yeah, it was a pity game. It was hilarious too.
But it's like, luckily with the Spurs, you do got likable guys. You got likable guys in Keldon. Derek is also kind of breaking out of his shell. That I've noticed that man is funny. That man is fucking funny. Derek White
really funny.
He's a joker. And
that 3 rimmed out.
But it's you have personalities on this team. And Keldon has superstar potential. I'm not saying that he's going to be a superstar or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean,
but he can.
I know what you mean.
He's going to be able to have a market. He's already done that early into his San Antonio career. San Antonio, the Spurs themselves have been pushing him out as kind of like a marketable guy.
And he is very marketable. And I think it'll start in San Antonio. And, he could end up being nothing more than, I'm trying to think of a decent comparison, right? Like, can't even really think. Like a Rocco or something, with a little bit worse defense, a little bit better offense or whatever. Or he could end up being someone really good. We have no idea. And that's the problem with our young guys, right? We harp on the young guys a lot, saying they have this potential, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot to it. And if we say someone has superstar potential, that doesn't mean that we think they'll even ever be an all-star. That means that they have the tools to develop into becoming really great players.
Yeah.
I mean, Keldon, I think his biggest asset is he has more hustle than anyone in the league almost.
And his work ethic is
outstanding.
Insane.
I mean,
that man will work his ass off.
That dude hustles for the ball like no one we've ever seen. He was listed as 6'6", but he's damn near 6'8" now. 20 rebounds. 23 and 20 in one game. And it was against a team, who did he do that to? Who was it?
It was the Cavs.
It was the Cavs. He got 20 rebounds on Jarrett Allen.
On Kevin Love. I'm not sure if Kevin Love was playing or not, but Kevin Love, one of the best rebounders in the game, though.
Yeah, but he got that on Jarrett Allen, a guy who some Spurs fans want to pay $23 million a year, which is outstanding. I wouldn't pay. I don't think I'd pay him 20. I'm still set on that $16 million a year. KJ's motor is Manu, exactly, and that's not. You're right. It's not comparing him to the player that Manu was, because I don't think there's 40 players all time that are the player that Manu is. I'm really high on Manu, but his motor is next level in almost its own stratosphere. It reminds me of I don't even know.
Yeah, so Kevin Love wasn't playing that game, but Jarrett Allen only got 11 rebounds that game.
Dude, Keldon got 9 more rebounds than Jarrett Allen. That is hilarious.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And Jakob almost got a double himself. He got 12 rebounds. He almost had double. Had 8 points.
Jakob almost had a triple-double this year, didn't he?
He did.
Remember that?
He was on triple-double watch at one point because he was. I need to find that game.
Yeah.
But yeah. Keldon, to me, if you're trying to compare former Spurs, I think Derek White's more of Manu in terms of game.
Yeah, emo. Look at that. It's crazy to think those HEB commercials are going to have new faces. That is crazy.
That is insane.
Because I guarantee the Spurs are going to throw out. They're going to throw Keldon, Devin. They're going to throw these players at us so hard, and they're going to be so good too. These commercials are going to be so good. I'm so excited.
And a 21-point win over Milwaukee. Jakob had 9 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, and 3 blocks, and 0 turnovers.
What a monster!
Was a plus 27.
Yeah, also, we shit on Milwaukee that game.
He was 1 for 1 from the free throw line.
100%.
So I think one thing with Jakob is, I think everyone kind of shits on Jakob for those free throws and just kind of being. He's not sometimes. I will say he's kind of got exposed by some of the best superstars in this league, but he can night in night out he can play really well.
That's why Jakob would be the best backup center in the league by far.
Yeah.
And I think we do need a starting center. This is a good question, but I don't agree with it too much. About paying people money with John Collins almost being out of reach given his performances, which power forwards are you keeping an eye on. That's iffy. I mean, I guess we're looking at Laurie, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen there. There aren't that many power forwards in free agency, but I still don't think Collins is out of reach, and I don't think it's even close that he's out of reach because he is still being played like a 4th or 5th option on a team where he should be the 2nd option.
Say Collins is out of range. If that's the case, they're going to have to trade someone else on that roster, and I think that could easily be Gallinari.
Yeah, and I don't know if they want to trade Gallinari because he's been really good.
He's been solid, and I think Gallinari would also. I would love Gallinari on this team.
Yeah,
if you can't get Collins and have Gallinari come off your bench or maybe as a starter, Gallinari is not a bad pick and gives you some veteran presence who has a lot of experience in this league. Shooting, he brings you something. He brings you a Mohawk too.
Yeah,
but I think because Atlanta's going to look to trade him and not take on any contract as a result.
Yeah.
Spurs got money.
And I don't think he wants to leave is the problem, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's not going to take a fat-ass pay cut. And if they don't trade Gallo, he's going to have to take a fat-ass pay cut because we're not going to be the only team that's offering him at least $25 million a year. If they don't trade Gallo, like if they like Gallo, they keep him, they have to supermax. They have to give Trey that big max, right? Like they have to this year. They can't pay Collins at all. Like they just can't do it. And maybe they keep him because he's restricted, right? So he still has a year.
Yeah, he can match.
Yeah.
Well, they can match.
They can match, but they won't be able to match probably. And the big problem with that is if they don't pay him, if he takes a pay cut, I don't think he'll take a pay cut. I think it's so weird because they could just lose him for nothing.
But also, I think Gallinari is a better pick because the money's not that bad either. It's only so next season he's getting paid $20 million, and then the season after that's $21, not guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's not a bad choice for the Spurs to go to, especially if you can't get Collins.
Yeah.
Because they're going to want to keep Collins.
I think they screwed themselves with this Gallinari deal just because they didn't know that they would be pushed into win now so early. Right? Like they wanted Gallo. They wanted to bring in Gallo like we want to bring in like whoever. You know, kind of like as a transition piece, let the guys get comfortable with each other because John Collins is still so young. It's just a weird. It's a weird. Atlanta will not max him. They can't. They can't do it unless they trade Gallo, which will be kind of difficult.
Yeah,
because they'd also have to bring on someone in return.
No, so in free agency, I think money's not.
Well, it's not the biggest deal, right? But
it's we've seen that where San Antonio traded away Davis for a second round pick. It's As long as the team has cap space, which the Spurs do, they can take on contracts for very little in return. And
okay, but I'm saying like outside of the Spurs, I don't know how many teams would be looking to take on Gallo for that much money.
Yeah, and that's why I say San Antonio would be a great area for that.
We need DeAndre Hunter, right?
I think they're going to try to sign DeAndre Hunter to an extension.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to be anywhere John Collins has, but they're going to be looking to get him.
I think that even though it's translating to wins, besides that ridiculous reaming they got last night, they're misusing John Collins right now, or not misusing him, but using him at such a low rate. Sure, they're winning, but he could provide you so much more. But they can afford to do it right now because he's making so little money. He's still on his rookie contract, right?
Yeah, he's still on his rookie.
Yeah, so they're looking at like, hey, I mean, right now he's insane. Like he's so good, but like we have a certain game plan. We can afford to play him like a fourth option. We can afford to do it now.
My question though, if it does, they move forward John Collins. What does that mean for Okongwu? That kind of fucks him over.
Yeah, I think that
because Okongwu was like the backup option.
Well, no, I had Hawks fans attack me because I said that like Okongwu's there probably to fill in for John, and everyone was like, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, he's there for when Capella leaves, which I disagree with.
And Capella's not leaving for 2 more seasons.
Yeah, Capella's not leaving. He is good for them, but not just that. People are trying to equate Capella and Okongwu. No.
I would take Capella in a heartbeat.
I would take Capella in a heartbeat too, but they're not the same player. I think here's John, here's Capella. Okongwu is like right here, a little closer to John, but can still give you some Capella minutes. I think that Capella is there. I think they didn't think that Capella would turn out so good. No. He's been so good for them. Like he exploded. So they would have played him if Capella had been bad, but Capella's playing so well and he's playing such a specific type of basketball that Okongwu can't fill that void right now. And maybe they try and morph him into something different. Maybe if they lose John, they plug him in there, which I think they probably will. But I also think it was kind of a wasted pick for them because they're not using him.
Yeah, it's his rookie season got wasted. I think he could have been, if you actually utilized him and actually played him, I think he was, again, he was a top lottery pick. He was one of my favorites that I really wanted the Spurs to get.
Wanted him. I wanted him to after you convinced me. I was like, give him.
Because it's like, it would be a great option, play him at the 4-5. Really fit a big team need. Like, honestly, Kai Jones would fit the role that I thought a Congo could fit. So it sucks to see him to get stuck on bench, and you're going to see players like this just kind of suffer on benches.
Yeah, you see that a lot, and like it's always with teams with awful front offices.
It's like I wouldn't even like at this point I would not consider Atlanta a horrible front office. They're just like
or inexperienced front offices.
I think that's the way to go. It's like they are a good front office. They fucking built a conference final that could easily be in the finals soon.
Yeah,
but they're now they're kind of put themselves in a hole where they need to make some tough choices.
Yeah, I will say that they're still questionable because, like, they picked Trey over Luka. And going into that draft, not knowing much about players, even then, I knew that Luka would be the better player than Trey. Because I watched a lot of Trey at Oklahoma, and then I watched all of Luka's highlights that I could find, and I was like, Luka looks quite a bit better. And I think he is better. I don't think Trey has top 10 point guard all-time potential. He's just insane right now.
I think he's going to be one of the better shooters in the league history.
Oh, yeah.
By the end of this.
Yeah, and he, like, people compare him to Steph, which I think is bad. He brings shooting and insane playmaking, but there's just something about him that leads me to believe that he doesn't have top 10 point guard all-time potential. Like, and I could be wrong.
He's probably going to be third best in this draft class. Like,
behind who?
Aiden and Luka.
Third best ever?
No, behind this in the 2018 draft class.
Oh, I think he's going to end up better than Aiden.
Well, right now, Aiden's better.
Right now. What?
I say Aiden's better. I think
now? Fuck no.
In terms of his impact of what Aiden's doing for that Suns team right now, this Suns team would not be where it is if it didn't have Aiden playing the way he is.
Okay, what about the Hawks?
Again, I'm just saying, both those teams would not, if they didn't have Aiden or Trey, they would not be where they were. Both teams.
I think Trey is like almost clearly better than Aiden right now, but I see your point, and I tend to value
those
guards really high.
Those two plus Luka are clearly top 3 of this draft class.
Oh yeah,
clearly. There's no in between. I think Jaren Jackson,
and I think we could turn.
Jackson has potential though.
I think we could turn Bagley into the 4th.
Oh no, Bagley.
We need to trade for Bagley.
I'm okay with trading for Bagley.
We need to get him. Bring him to me. Okay.
Also, anyone that goes through that Kings.
Ooh, that was a stinky brick.
Anyone that goes through that Kings organization, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that sucks. They're the worst organization I've ever seen in my life by far.
Like
they need to be moved. California doesn't need what? They have 4 teams. 4. Yeah, they have 4. They don't need 4 teams. They need 4, 3. Right? Yeah. They have the Kings, the Warriors, the Lakers, the Clippers.
Oh yeah, I've been always wanting like.
I always forget the Warriors. I don't know why.
Because it's San Francisco. It's like Northern California. Same thing with Sacramento.
Isn't San Francisco Southern California?
No.
Is it not?
No.
What?
You
or like middle California, right?
You think San Francisco is in?
I've never been.
What?
I've never been.
Do I need to show you a map?
Hold on. No, you're probably right. I just like San Francisco looks so coastal, and I always associate
it's
Northern
on the
California. Well, I always. Oh, is it like? Hold on.
You thought San Francisco was in Southern California?
I mean, I did. Yeah, I don't know. It's not in like far northern.
So
look. This is Northern California. I'm talking about Redding, like Northern California.
Oh, you're talking Reddington? But you're
Redding. No,
Redding,
Northern California to me is like basically like Oregon scenery. San Francisco, I guess, is like kind of northern, but it's like it's closer to. It's in the middle third. It's at the top of the middle third of California.
There's Southern California, which is like LA South.
Yeah.
Then there's the Valley, where like Bakersfield and Fresno are. And then there's Northern California with like San Francisco, Sacramento, and then I guess there's far north California.
I still don't think look, this is California, right? That's not northern. That's northern. This is like the middle third. You can say it's northern because it's in the northern half.
I searched Northern California on Wikipedia. It has pictures of San Fran.
Okay. But
all right,
riddle me this. It's actually you wouldn't know this.
It's Northern California is pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Look at the map on screen.
That's fucking That's fucking 3/4 of the state. Okay.
That's North California. Then there's South California.
But map people are weird, right? Because Ty, look at the laptop over here. Whoops. Look at the laptop, right? You see Abilene right here in the middle of Texas?
Yeah, Texas.
They call that West Texas. Abilene is West Texas, and it's in the fucking center.
So yeah, and then we're Dallas Fort Worth. This is North Texas, and
it doesn't make sense.
But then you got the Panhandle, and they call the Panhandle its own thing.
No, they call the Panhandle West Texas because I'm from the Panhandle.
But I call so for me.
Oh well, like you mean way up here? Because they basically some people call all of this the Panhandle.
Yeah, as where the Panhandle, like, where that shelf is, that's where the Panhandle starts to me, and it's kind of a clip. It's really weird because then San Antonio is considered Central Texas.
Yeah, when it's southern.
Yeah.
San Antonio is South Texas. Kind of. Maps don't make sense. Like it doesn't make sense. San Francisco is Central California. Chico, shut the fuck up. All right.
No, but so
I get what you mean though. I get what you mean.
So all right, we gotta look this map. Hold on, I gotta pull.
Show them where Abilene is. Look at that. How is that West Texas? That is Central Texas. We're from that area. I lived in Sweetwater right by Abilene. It's green as shit. It's hilly. That's not West Texas.
So all right, so on this map, it's like Google Map with just like the kind of.
Thank you, Mac.
Kind of the mix. Mac, are you joining on?
How the fuck is this San Antonio Central Texas?
So all right, so you see where the green and the like the desert kind of turn in?
Yeah.
That's kind of like my border of that's my crossing of this becomes West Texas and that becomes the Panhandle.
Where the fuck is Central?
I don't know. Is Austin Central Texas?
I would say Austin is closer than San Antonio.
So the whole point of the map though is some people just consider that this line right here, this is just Texas. Just the green. Just the green is Texas, and then West Texas and the Panhandle are its own fucking country at this rate.
Yeah.
And so, what the fuck?
How is El Paso not West Texas?
Well, no, it is West Texas.
They don't call it West Texas. They call it the Rio Grande Valley.
Well, the Rio Grande Valley goes away the whole southern border. What did they call it? Then they call like this area like west of Corpus, the Rio Grande Valley.
We're in 8th grade geography, dude. Like. And then Amarillo, that's not even North Texas. You know why? Because the University of North Texas is fucking 700 miles away.
I don't consider Amarillo in this fucking state.
Oh, yeah, me neither. Amarillo is like...
That's in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere.
Yeah, Amarillo is like... I don't even know. It's like...
I landed there once for a connection because there was that stupid law in Texas that you had to like hit a connection before you can go out of the state to like California or something. It was so stupid where you'd always have to stop in El Paso or you'd always have to make some sort of stop before you made California.
Amarillo is like one of the sets of Breaking Bad come to life. That's like the worst place in the world.
Amarillo is the combination of Oklahoma and New Mexico where it really should belong.
I'd rather live in Florida.
That's
I'd rather live in Juarez. Like I hate Amarillo.
So
great people. But. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like, I guess it's a checkpoint. Well, yeah, checkpoints exist, right? Because my brother used to live in that shithole Las Cruces, and there was a checkpoint on the highway between El Paso and Las Cruces, right? But no, yeah. I mean, I'll say, like San Francisco, you could call it Northern California. I thought it was a little bit lower because it's at the top of the center third. So you could call that Northern, right?
You know what the only thing about Texas geography is correct? East Texas.
For sure, yeah.
Like, because East Texas is like Houston and up to the right of 45 or 75, whatever. 45, 75. It's
yeah.
Mixed. I think that's like the only thing that's actually correct in terms of Texas geography. San Antonio is like southern Texas. It's like somewhat southern Texas.
But it's central. Like, what do you mean?
And then you would have, but then I feel like the 35 corridor is like central. Like northern San Antonio.
I feel like as soon as you hit New Braunfels, you're in Central Texas.
And then you hit Austin and Waco, and then once you pass Waco, you're in North Texas.
Yeah, because everyone goes from like...
If you look at broadcasting markets.
Yeah, if you go from San Antonio, as soon as you see everyone white, you're in Central Texas. Right?
You're not wrong.
Like everyone is like wearing the Bobcat shirts, like...
San Marcos.
Yeah, San Marcos and stuff, and... Everyone has like an IPA in one hand and a vape in the other. Like you got to try this hazy IPA, brother. Like, no one has Texas plates on their cars. They're all Colorado or California. Like, that's Central Texas. The spirit of Central Texas is no one from there is Texan. That's why I don't include San Antonio.
So, just to remind everyone, this is a Spurs live stream that
we're talking about the Spurs, man. What's the score?
What's the score? 39-26.
A 13-point deficit, brother.
With 5 left in the second. I love it.
Yeah, sorry. I live in Austin, and you speak the truth, dude. Like, I moved my sister in there recently, and oh my gosh, like it felt like I walked into a Panera Bread as soon as I drove into to Austin. And let me tell you, I don't like Panera Bread. I had like the weirdest experience there with a cashier. I was like, it was a steak sandwich or something. I was like, do people like this? And I asked two people. She's like, really, really like an Austinite, even though this was in like Richardson. It was like, I wouldn't know what people like about it because I'm vegan. And I was like, okay, I'll just get it.
By the way, if you ever want to jump on the mic, you have a microphone in front of you.
No.
I won't put a camera on you. I'll just turn on the microphone.
I don't know.
We'll save it for next time.
Yeah, maybe next time. I doubt anybody's ever heard me anyway.
They'll hear you at the float.
They can hear you in the background.
Well, I know.
Yeah. So sorry if this has already been asked, but should the Spurs trade for Tyler Hero? Depends on it depends on the package. As long as it's not like a heavy, like a really.
Yeah. Remember what Noah was saying, right? Like, a player is not the sum of their most recent series. Yeah. And Tyler Hero, like, God bless him. I know he's turned into kind of a dipshit, but he had what we call in the sports world that almost every player has, a sophomore slump. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of players go through that. I fully expected it.
If you can get them low, go ahead.
Like,
it just depends.
Yeah.
As long as you're not giving up more than the first round.
They're playing volleyball out there.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude, Drew, I'm going to tell you, Drew Eubanks should be playing volleyball as well as a second sport. Yeah. That man can hit back rebounds like no one's business.
Yeah. The thing with Tyler Hero, right, is like, he reminds me of Kuzma if Kuzma had talent. Like, if Kuzma got taken down a couple pegs on his ego, he would be an okay role player. If Tyler Hero got taken down on his ego and had like a good development staff like the Spurs, he could be really good. I think his floor at this point is still a Patty Mills type.
Yeah, and it's not a low pick. He's 13 overall. He was 13 pick overall. He's only going to be 22 this next season.
He's shown what he can do in the moment in a finals.
He can shoot at least average 3-point percentage.
Yeah, and he
at a high clip.
He had big moments in a finals game still. That's like a big deal.
So, and I'm not sure what his defense is like. I'm guessing it's not great.
It's not great,
but it's not. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not the worst in the world, but it's not good.
Oof. Oh God, that offensive defense rating comparison. Oof. That is not a good net rating.
Yeah, especially this year. But remember, he played a lot of minutes this year.
Well, even last season.
Yeah, it's not great. But like this year skewed a little bit because he played a lot of minutes without Jimmy. Because remember, Jimmy was out for a lot of the year.
I don't think he'd be as bad on defense as like Bryn Forbes.
No, I'm saying he's not good. Like, he's not a good defender. He's not even near average.
It's not good.
Oh, what just happened?
No. I'm thinking about that. Bryn Forbes has scared me for that, having that Bryn Forbes type player of you could do some good offensively, but you're a defensive liability. That's always scared me. But luckily the Spurs do have better defenders now put around him.
What do you guys think about Lonnie? Sorry, I was talking to myself.
Lonnie,
highest ceiling on our team.
So, and again, go back to Noah's latest episode. I think him and was it Mark?
I think so. I'm not sure.
I think it was Mark. They both said it best, where the Spurs desperately needed a season to really figure out these guys.
We'll get it this year because I still don't see us trading Lonnie, and we recorded a rough run on a podcast of mine that is not being released, where I had stats, and I could bring him on for a next show, or like maybe the pre-show for our draft, where we can look at Lonnie without DeMar, Lonnie with higher usage. He looks like a borderline star with high usage. He put up 24 points per game for a little bit there without DeMar, and it was a small sample size, but man, he is just a killer. He has that instinct, that he has that like that it factor that shows up. What would you give up for Harrow?
It's,
like Trey Jones.
I'm not sure.
I think it's almost impossible to trade for Harrow just because we have 9 players, and almost all 9 of them are great. I'd give up like I don't know. Ask me later. Ask me when we have more people, because it's so hard to trade. I would trade for him maybe, but and I like him, and I think he can become a good player. He's already a decent player, and he's been a good player. I think that we could build him back up, but with so few players under contract and most of them being so high impact that are all better than Harrow, it's really hard to think about that right now. And maybe we could trade just picks, but I wouldn't be comfortable giving up a first. Maybe like a 2025 first or something, like something way down the line.
It depends on.
It's hard.
It's also going to be dependent on what Miami wants, of course, because it's their. They're not going to be forcing their hand or anything like that.
Sign and trade Rudy. I think that he can already afford Rudy though, right?
They can. Let me check their payroll real quick.
Because like Rudy's not going to be getting $14 million a year anymore. And I would sign and trade. I think that he's so ingrained in their culture now that they'll get a little greedy with him because they know they can. But overall, I would sign and trade Rudy. I would sign and trade Rudy and Patty for Harrow just because they're both gone anyways. But
wait, when did they get Omi or Yurt-7? What?
Huh?
They get Yurt-7. I didn't even know that the Heat had Yurt-7. I guess they had him on 2-way. I'm surprised by that. I actually wanted Yurt-7 as like a possible second round pick last season before we got Trey. But yeah, there's not a lot. Yeah, I could see a possible sign and trade.
It's hard
because there's not a lot of money, but if they go that route, they're kind of giving up on their youth.
Emo. I disagree. I think that Keldon has the best chance to be the most efficient scorer on our team. I think Lonnie has the highest chance to be, or the best chance to be the highest scorer, but on less efficiency because he shoots more.
My opinion, Keldon can become a much more efficient Russell Westbrook.
Oh yeah, I can see that. They're really, really similar. The anomaly here is Devin. I still think Devin has like some hidden potential.
It's
weird. His defense, like he looks like a shark in like a pool full of blood. Like he's just looking. He's looking everywhere. He's like, where is it? Where's the meat? Where am I gonna get it? And his shooting,
shooting looks solid.
Suns game, dude.
Yeah, he's his lowest floor is maybe a 3-and-D guy coming off the bench. I think that's his floor.
They're hard capped, right?
So the Heat are at 113 million. So but that's also with team options for Andre and Dragic. So most likely those are not going to be picked up.
You don't think they'll pick up Dragic?
They might pick up Dragic, but I don't expect them to pick up Iguodala.
No, I wouldn't pick up Iguodala either.
So they're going to be a little tight for money, but not super tight.
I think
it's not Warrior. It's not Warriors levels of holy shit, this is bad. I don't know what we're going to do, but they have some flexibility, I believe.
Yeah, I think Rudy's going ring hunting, and I hope he does. He deserves it, and he could help a lot. Yeah, Lonnie could be the guy that can drop 40 a night and then 10 the next game, and I think Keldon could just give you 20 on a nightly basis.
I could see that. I think with Lonnie, though, we don't know. He's been inconsistent because he's been in such an inconsistent role. I've said this.
That's the thing. That's the big thing. And that reflects too, right? Keldon's been starting. He's been giving consistent minutes in a pretty consistent role. Lonnie looks as consistent as he should. If he had been taking Keldon's touches, Keldon's minutes, Keldon's consistency at starting, I think he would look a lot better. Because Keldon, he's just been hard set like almost all season as a starter, right?
Yeah. I believe he started almost the whole
Almost
season.
every game, yeah. And Lonnie bounced back and forth between starting at small forward, starting at shooting guard, bench small forward. Like he's been everywhere. It's just, it throws off your flow a minute. But I see where you're coming from. But even then, right? Like 40 and 10 versus 20 and 20. I mean, that's 25 points per game to 20 points per game. What are we talking here? No, I'm kidding. I know what you mean. And I could see it. But also Keldon dropped quite a few absolute stinkers this year. And that was when he was being used poorly, I guess.
Knight, you are dead on. Don't want to underestimate Lonnie's on-ball defense.
No, he's in like Noah had the stats. Noah had the stats that showed that by far on our team. Like second place was, I think, DeJounte at
Derek.
At like 70th or 80th hardest, most difficult defensive matchups one-on-one in the league. Lonnie was in like the 40s or something. Lonnie had consistently the most difficult defensive matchups all year. That's why he looked so average on defense, because his matchups were so like skewed to the top.
And that's also why his advanced stats were horrible in terms of defense and stuff like that. And it didn't help that he was paired with LaMarcus Aldridge early on, coming off the bench, and just LaMarcus Aldridge just was not running. It was not the LaMarcus that we known early in his Spurs tenure, and it just didn't help that also the ball was not going through Lonnie in any way.
Yeah. Oh, Emo. Yeah, I would start Lonnie over Derek this year because I think Derek would be a great sixth man, even though he's our best player as of right now. And also I think he needs to be weaned into the season. Like you can't start him out full force into the season because it seems like he has a penchant for injuring himself, like going too hard at the beginning. I think if you kind of wean him in like more and more to where he can build up a good flow with his physical activity, he'll be good. Lonnie just looks scared to be great. Maybe needs Manu type green light. That's exactly what we're saying, Chico. Like he's never had the green light.
Yeah.
Except for games that DeMar's disappeared or DeMar hasn't played, i.e. Houston twice, and then he had a few good 20-something point games this year. How much do you think Lonnie would command on a contract? $14 million?
I think it's honestly at this moment, if he were to get a contract extension this offseason, it's going to be more than 10, less than 15, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I'm looking at
just in terms of what he's done on the floor, his potential. And I wrote an article about this. If you want to look at Spurs Zone, also make sure to check out the Spurs Zone and the Locked On Spurs for any additional content. It's great stuff. But also that's where you can find my stuff. But I wrote an article on what's next for Lonnie. And there's two ways that the Spurs can go. That they're going to go ahead and stay safe. They're going to sign Lonnie to a fairly small extension. Or Lonnie's going to be willing to take a bet on himself and not sign an extension this offseason and show off this upcoming season.
Yeah. And that wouldn't necessarily be bad for us. I mean,
it's not bad. And honestly, it's not bad. It's bad if the Spurs wanted to save some money, but he's also going to send him to the restricted free agent market. So say that Lonnie does show up, you might be competing against other teams in terms of money. Yeah. But if Lonnie needs additional chip on his shoulder to really show up that it's a make or break season for him, especially in a season that he's given a true opportunity, I think I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking, where it's like, hey, if it ends up that he goes out and drops like a 20-point per game season after not signing with us this offseason and then heads into restricted free agency where he could command 18 to 20 mil a year, I'm sure the front office would be glad to pay him.
Yeah.
Because if he can go do that, and we've gotten really lucky with Derek and DeJounte taking, I would say, extremely team-friendly deals, mainly because of injury, but they're both getting paid like really, really team-friendly deals compared to their output and compared to...
Especially Derek. I would say Derek is definitely on a...
Derek, because his is like almost the same contract as DeJounte's.
Essentially is, but like one additional year.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like, we got really lucky, and we can't expect every player to do that. And it doesn't make them bad guys if they don't do that. It just means that, like, hey. But isn't Rich Paul Lonnie's agent?
Yes. So
that bodes well for us.
it bodes well, and that's kind of another reason why I said I could see Lonnie betting on himself.
Yeah, because like people think that Rich Paul's evil. I don't think he's evil. I think that if you're not dealing with LeBron, he's an extremely good and pretty fair agent. It seems like he just wants to set his players up
For success.
for like a good success to earnings ratio. And that's what he did with DeJounte. Because like he from what I read, he's the one that like talked with the front office about that contract. And they came to a good agreement that like says, hey, you're set for life with it already. But you're also putting your team in a position to get more pieces and to compete a little bit better. But you're still getting paid. You're still getting compensated for your output. And like that was back, like now he's outperforming his contract.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say no one expected this, but like it's good.
Yeah, what Knight was saying in terms of that, you can tell DJ is all about basketball and don't care about money. I think him and Derek are kind of similar, where in terms of that, they're mostly basketball. They don't need $30 million contracts. Now, I bet if they really thought they were worth that, I bet they would go out and do that. But these are both two like team first dudes.
Yeah.
And I think that's always kind of been a San Antonio staple in terms of just players putting the team first and wanting team success over individual money and stuff like that. Like they're going to take money. Tim Duncan's going to take Timmy took money in his prime, and then he took the pay cut when he came later in his career. Same thing with Manu.
Yeah.
And Tony was kind of the only reason Tony left was just kind of roll. He wasn't getting. He thought he still had some in the tank, and he wanted just to go play. I don't blame Tony for doing that.
What about, Riley? If we max John Collins and he signs with us, would we basically have to choose between Lonnie and Keldon? I don't understand the NBA salary cap at all.
Right.
I'm a lot more knowledgeable on the NFL.
All right, I got you on this.
Go ahead.
So, whenever a team drafts a player, they are going to have a first rookie contract, and then they're going to have a chance to sign them to an extension so they can at least keep a guy for 7 years. At that point, they have them under bird rights, and bird rights means that they can sign them while going over the cap. They are not limited to what the salary cap is by signing these guys. It gives teams the ability to retain talent that they have drafted and kept throughout their organization. So that's kind of what the bird rights is, that they can sign these guys over the cap. And then there's like partial bird rights, stuff like that. I need to have something in front of me to really talk about that. But so whenever you do go into free agency, you are limited to your salary cap, and then you have the mid-level exception, which like is maybe between 7 and 9 million. That's kind of what Marcus Morris was originally going to sign for.
Yeah,
and I think that's what Spurs used on Trey Lyles. But so you can honestly sign both Lonnie and Keldon to max contracts.
Yeah,
and you still now your cap is going to be very limited in terms of what you can do with it and building around them, but.
Yeah,
you can probably sign both of them to a max contract.
We have an update on the map debacle.
All right,
from G Diz at SA Bobcat. Used to live in Monterey, California. It is considered north of LA by anyone not from Cali, but anyways, heard locals hated being called northern. It is Central California. I still correct anyone calling San Francisco Northern California. It isn't. That is from someone from that area.
You said it was Southern California, though.
No, I said that it's not northern. I thought it was southern, but then I switched it to where like, okay, well,
I'm still making
northern.
it a clip. I don't care.
It's not northern. Yeah. Do you want to take a couple more questions? We're a little over an hour and a half in. Do you want to keep rolling?
Yeah, I'm keep rolling. We're having a good time. We're watching the game. It's a halftime.
Cool. Alrighty. Okay, I got you. A lot more confusing. You can tell DJ's off. Okay. Any more questions y'all got?
We're just gonna put the elevator music on. Should I do this one or should I do this?
Just do that one. We want to jump into some Warzone or what? Yeah, maybe later tonight or like tomorrow or something. Whenever we leave, Kelsey and I, we still have a 45-minute trip back to the apartment.
Technically, you can play on that laptop, and I can play on this computer.
Is it installed on that computer?
I don't think it's installed on this
80
one.
gigabyte download. You better start. Kidding.
Just let them play.
What's your ideal offseason for the Spurs? Oh, come on, dude.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. Sign and trade. Okay, for me, sign and trade DeMar, DeMar 12 and a future first for Sexton, Love, and a third. That's one way. Trade for any of the top 4 picks, or draft Kai or Garuba. Like, there's so many. Like, this is because like last season, right? It was basically trade for Golden State's pick, or draft like Devin or
There wasn't a lot of flexibility.
I already forgot his name. Old Wizards boy, Denny. Like, there were like 3 paths, right? This year it seems a lot more open, especially because we have so much money. And the free agency list is like really vast, but not top heavy.
Yeah.
So there's like a bunch of weird guys you could pick up here and there. I like retaining our 12th, drafting Garuba or Kai, and then signing and trading DeMar for like KP maybe. Like, that works for me. Or we could just hoard our money, sign a couple guys to 1-year deals, retain Lonnie, and then next season go and sign someone on the biggest free agency class I've seen in my entire life. If you look at next year's free agency, we went over it last show, so I don't know if we'd pull it up because it's kind of an undertaking, but
it's
next season's free agency class is absolutely stacked. It is absolutely stacked, brother. It is so big.
Mobley is the answer. I wish we can get Mobley.
Yeah, there's no way Houston's trading with us.
Unless we give them DeMar and every single pick that we have.
DeMar, 12, 2 other future firsts, and like Lonnie could probably get us 2, but even then, that's not.
We'd have to break the Seppian rule to get that. By the way, if you don't know what the Seppian rule is, it doesn't mean that teams cannot trade first picks consecutively in consecutive years.
Oh, sorry. I meant like, could we not do like 2023, 2025?
You can do that.
That's what I meant.
As long as you can't do like 2023 and 2024.
Oh,
that's why you see some weird trades. Because if you don't know who Seppian is, he was the former owner GM. I forgot exactly. There's a not SB Nation. Yeah, SB Nation is doing it. What's it called? Secret Base. They're doing a kind of whole series. Seppian traded so many fucking people in the span of like 3 days that the league said, "Dude, calm the fuck down."
That's so funny.
Wow.
What else we got? What were we talking? We were talking Cape. So far, in terms of this picks, so I think we were talking about Kai over Zaire.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I have to look into Zaire more, and I'm not like married to Kai, right? I just like him the most. But like, Noah's convinced me recently on Garuba. Moody sounds good. One of the who was it? Jalen Johnson, like, sure, like, as long as it's not Kisper. I don't want to get Kisper, and I don't really want to get Wagner, even though I'd be okay with it.
I like Wagner. Wagner would be a solid pick, and if you say like Kai or someone's not there.
Sign and trade DeMar Eubanks plus 2 seconds for Wiggins and 14th pick. That's too much. No, DeMar Eubanks and 2 seconds for Wiggins in the 14th. I mean,
I don't think it's happening.
I don't think it's happening. I think that it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I overthought it. Draft Kai Jones and Josh Giddey, flip Wiggins to Sac for Bagley. I don't think we could trade. We couldn't flip Wiggins to Sacramento, could we?
It's possible.
Is it? Okay.
Especially if it's during the offseason, it is possible.
Okay, yeah, sure. No, I mean, yeah, with that part, go ahead. How would Oubre fit? We talked more about it. Trading for Wiseman and Wiggins. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to try.
So I will say for the Oubre fit, listen to I'm going to post this as a podcast tomorrow. And so just, you can come back, watch the YouTube channel when we have Noah on, or the podcast itself is just going to really have when Noah's on. So
talk a lot about it.
Kind of listen back to that if you really want.
We probably had a 10-minute segment just about Oubre.
Yeah. To the shooting or defense in free agency, I think shooting would be. It depends on what you do in this draft. If you get a guy like Kai, and you you focus on that big man position. You go shooting free agency. You bolster your shooting depth, and I don't think there's going to be a big splash in free agency. And now I could be wrong. You get a guy like Kawhi Leonard who somehow gets disgruntled, as we've seen some random ass reports saying that he's disgruntled with the health staff in LA.
Oh no, yeah,
ironically.
sorry, I forgot. If Kawhi Leonard wants to come back, I get the float, man. I'd build him a float. Spurs need a big Yak, ain't it? We've been talking about that. Yak would be the best backup center in the league. He just gets abused too much by star caliber centers, and it seems like every fucking team now has a star caliber center. Or every team that we've gone against and every team that we would face in the playoffs if we ever went has star caliber centers, and we just can't deal with it. He even got kind of bullied by Valanciunas, even though if you look at the numbers and look at what was going on and kind of the fouls and all the illegal things that Valanciunas was doing, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I agree that Jakob shouldn't be our future at center. He'll probably start one more year there, but I don't know.
So with the difference that Kai make a big difference this season, that's to be determined, because while the highlights show up some of his best upswing, he is certainly a upside pick.
Yeah.
So he's going to need some work. Let me get my little notes. I watched a few videos today, and wrote some notes down. Offensively, he's a bit raw, and I think everyone forgot he came off the bench for Texas, but Texas was not a really well run team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Coming from someone who watched Texas a lot this year and who's a Texas fan, it was a weird season.
There's a reason they brought Chris
We've been in limbo for a while, kind of. And, asset management has been kind of weird, to say the least, at UT.
Yeah, so you're going with him, it's a big upside pick. He is a hustler like Keldon. He's really excellent in transition, which is definitely a big improvement for a Spurs team that's not really had a lot of transition play.
Mm-hmm.
Think of a guy that can finish at the rim. He's going to finish at the rim, and he's going to finish and run transition.
Yeah, it's our first lob threat since Dedmon, right?
Yeah, one of them, and
besides Lonnie,
he's definitely dangerous in pick and roll, especially as a roll man.
Yeah. Oh, look at those shooting numbers.
47% for the Suns, 30% for the Clippers.
Look at the three. The Suns are 4-11 from three. The Clippers are 4 of 22 from three, and the Suns have 28 points in the paint versus the Clippers 16. I love it.
So and then there is the ability that he looks like he can be a stretch threat, where he can shoot from behind the arc at a solid clip.
Yeah.
Now he didn't shoot it often, but you could easily see that if you do give him with Chip, help him hone in those. I know Chip has been a big key word for everyone lately, but I'm not saying that Chip is going to fix broken jump shots like Ben Simmons, but as long as you get guys that have decent jump shots and just kind of hone them in, you're going to get a solid guy. He does need. Think of Luka in terms of Kai needs to improve on his strength and his size. One of the notes I saw that was his lower strength was not the best. He kind of got bullied by traditional bigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then he's a little turnover happy. And the best way I can describe it is imagine early Lonnie and Metu kind of combined. In terms of just not being able to control the ball, a little turnover happy. I don't think he's as bad as Metu as all, but just kind of like a mix of those two players in terms of just how Lonnie was a little loose with his handles.
Yeah.
And how Metu was just kind of all over the damn place.
Yeah. What happens if we whiff on John Collins in free agency? Not much. And John Collins, so we're still pretty pro John Collins. I am, at least. But you bring a lot of risk in signing him either way because he's eating up so much of your money. Just don't cry if we don't get Collins. It's not that big of a deal. He's shown a lot of stuff, but he also hasn't shown a lot of stuff. And maybe that's because he's being misused, like we're talking about. It's definitely not the end of the world if we don't get him. Now, it is a pretty bad deal if we were to re-sign DeMar or something. That's
I
like
think that's the worst case scenario.
that's
in my opinion.
worst case scenario for
Worst
us
case-
outside of like San Antonio falling into the earth.
Whenever it's supposed to be in South Texas.
Yeah.
I think the worst case scenario for the Spurs is running it back. I think that's honestly the worst idea.
I like you, T. Duncan. I mean, well, actually, I kind of like you. I mean, I like you, but like this free agency class of power forward and C is pretty weak. They should try and grab Holmes or Giles. I like both. I like Holmes, but I read somewhere he's looking at $20 million a year. I don't know, man, or like a little over, like 2024.
I think at some points you kind of overpay.
Yeah, and I would overpay for him, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, I like him. He would be good for us. He would fit well with our team. It's just like I need to be a little bit more convinced, and I probably just need to go watch more tape. I watched some of him this year, and he looked really good a lot. I guess he's like a pretty decent option.
Yeah,
I'd take him over Giles, but
it depends. But the biggest thing with Kai Jones, going back to that, Kai Jones just needs experience.
yeah,
That's about it. He started the game late, so he just needs to really get some reps, get a better feel for the game. But man, he's probably considered one of the guys with the highest upside.
Yeah,
for their position, and having him as versatile and as athletic as he is at 6'11", with a 7'1" wingspan.
Yeah,
I am all for Kai Jones because I think because you can run him at the 4.
yeah,
You can run him at the 4 and 5, and I think that's kind of the best. That's the spot that Spurs desperately need.
yeah.
And then going back to if the Spurs don't get John Collins, everyone forgets that Lukas Samanic is in the depth.
Yeah, and like that's not us comparing him before anyone like I don't know. No one would clip this or whatever, but like before anyone's like, "Oh, you compared him." It's like we're comparing people with similar play styles, similar-ish builds. Luka's way taller. Similar archetype, blah, this, that. So like we're comparing someone who could fill the need, not as well, probably not nearly as well, but still fill the need. And he's there. It's not like we're dead in the water if we don't get him.
It's not like that. There's literally no one in the depth chart.
Yeah.
There's people there.
Yeah, everyone's looking at $20 million a year. Luka's got to put on more muscle. Actually, it looks like he's put on 10 or 15 pounds again.
I honestly cannot wait for measurements.
Yeah, because if you look at the pictures from these recent friendlies that they've been playing, his legs look so much bigger.
He got the big thighs.
Yeah, between seasons, between his rookie and this last year, he put on like 22 pounds or something, or 18, and he's putting on more, you can tell, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Do y'all think that Oubre report is legit? I think that it's so weirdly specific and came out of nowhere, and it's not even it's not news that would crash the internet, that it's legit enough for me to like.
Yeah, and
like, it's just so strange, and it's not anything that would like garner a bunch of clicks. It's just weird enough to where it's like, I believe it.
Now I definitely think that Spurs are certainly interested in Oubre. That report came out from like
we have been for like a year or two, I thought.
Yeah,
when he was on the Suns making trade waves.
But then, yeah, like you said, it's kind of just a unique report. It's not crazy. It's not like a crazy report or anything, like the fake Bruce Bowen one that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly is. It kind of did come out of nowhere.
God, Patrick Beverley, that's a
shove.
That's a tech.
That's a wraparound.
Look at that, and then the push. Patrick Beverley, like everyone's praising his defense.
This is a low-scoring game.
I know.
54-44 with like 9 left in the third.
Sink that shit.
Nope, that was a brick. Mills is coming back, in my opinion. I
don't know about Mills, man.
I've heard some stuff. It's not. I can't confirm anything like that. But the feeling is like all 3 of those key free agents are not coming back.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the feeling.
And that's not like our info. That's someone that we know who's tapped in, who like has been getting that.
Yeah, well, we can't confirm or anything like that. So I'm not going to report or say anything like that. But it just seems that Spurs are going full youth movement.
Yeah.
In terms of the personnel that they have, that they need to fit, and just the logical reasoning to do it is go youth. You gotta figure these guys out.
Yeah. Did you see that they did not call that a shooting foul? That's hilarious.
Well, that's kind of that's that one where he's coming around a screen and he's kind of trying to buy the contact.
Yeah, but they'd give that to Trae Young. You can't give it to Chris Paul.
If he got that fadeaway, I was gonna be impressed.
Dude, his midi is just.
Ooh,
Quit missing.
Booker had a nice drive, got through the defense. Oh shit! Okay, Mikal Bridges.
Oh, that's a foul again.
Mikal Bridges, damn, came with a
Patrick Beverly with another foul. That's LeBron's signature move is the look down jump, like the three. Whoever block. Steph has the fucking. Patrick Beverly's signature move is this. Looking at a ref. Like, shut up. No one cares. Stop it.
You gotta replay that block. Come on.
That block was. Was it a tech?
I think it turned into a tech.
That would be his second tech though. No, Paul George had the tech earlier.
If you missed it, Mikal Bridges kind of did like a coast to coast LeBron type block, but instead of hitting off the glass, he just sent it back towards the center court.
Yeah,
it was really impressive. Yeah, but it's just I would love the Spurs to go after Hardaway, but I think the Mavs are pretty dead set on re-signing him, especially with how useful he was to that team and how they utilize him.
Why is Sex on the trade market? It's because he's just too good for that shit ass organization.
And also
they drive away anyone that's good or that has star power, and he has star power. He's a good player. He's a decent defender for being 6'1", even though he's not a good defender. He can drive an offense. He can do whatever you want him to do. He's just too good for the Cavaliers to pay him. They're like, we don't pay good players. What are we doing here?
And also, they're going to kind of get redundant based on if either they draft Jalen Green or Jalen sucks. Also, what is up with the name Jalen?
Y'all think Kai Jones can be Ayton light? No, it's a weird comparison because Ayton's a lot bigger, a lot stronger.
It's a lot more traditional.
Yeah, he doesn't have that crazy athleticism. I mean, he has athleticism, but it's different.
The comparisons that I've seen, I've had a handful of comparisons, like Pascal, Jaren Jackson Jr., Christian Wood.
Pascal Siakam, that's a big one. Him and Christian Wood, especially. I see those a lot.
The way Kai Jones is, he'd be he's like a new age big, where it's a lot more athletic. It has much more of a jump shot. Mm-hmm. It's just more of a new era big. And Ayton is a throwback type big. Mm-hmm. Now Ayton can have some of an outside shot, so he's kind of like a mix, but he's much more of a traditional big than A1.
Yeah,
and he's good at it too. He could have got that block if he timed it just a little early.
I know. Get fucked, Zubac. What just happened? Did they call a foul on Ayton?
I think it went out of bounds.
I didn't see any arms. Oh, you say that's my fault? I guess, did he call a foul or something?
Let's see.
Oh,
that's all ball, and maybe
it's all ball off of Ayton. I think Scott Foster.
What was that move?
That was good. Yeah, Scott Foster called a foul maybe on accident or because he thought there was one, but he's not a real ref, so he had to say my bad and overturn it. LOL, we need a Christian Wood type. LOL, he's a Spur killer. He's only a Spur killer just because we don't have anyone who can guard anyone of his caliber. If we had I don't know, I wouldn't call him a Spur killer. He's really good though.
But his player type is certainly
on Sport Track in this class. No, this class sucks. Yeah, it's not a good class. Thoughts on Sengun? He's good. He's really good. He has the worst defensive tape I've ever laid my eyes on, but he's good.
Offensively, if you need a post defense offense,
footwork, passing, shooting,
he's going to be an offensive menace.
Yeah, and he could be really good. I would take him at 12 still. I'm not saying I don't want him, but don't expect him to defend.
I think
think of him as the inverse Jakob. Jakob is all defense, no offense. Sengun is all offense, almost no defense.
This M. Night Shyamalan movie looks really fucking weird.
It looks bad. His last good movie was Split, and that's because it was a script that he wrote back whenever he finished Unbreakable 20 years ago when he was making good movies still.
Yeah, Segan is not my pick, in my opinion, just because I think there's other talents that could really help you out that really fit your team better.
Like a Diaw type. Oh, I think that Segun's like offensive capabilities are his ceiling on offense is nuts. It's just he's such a bad defender. He looked bad on defense. And I think it's just because he was poorly coached, because it's like you can tell he's trying, but like he looks so lost on defense, man. He looks bad.
Like his defensive, he just is not experienced defensively. Like his ceiling is pretty high. Like what's it called? Kevin O'Connor says he has shades of Sabonis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that defensively. I did not see that in any.
Did he say defensively he has shades of Sabonis?
No, yeah, he just says shades of.
Like defensively?
No. He just has like shades of Vucevic, Sabonis, and Kanter, which are all not great defensive players really outside of Sabonis.
Miles Turner maybe being available. I would trade for him, but
I would fucking trade for Miles Turner in a heartbeat.
I think that the Pacers might overvalue him a little bit.
I'm gonna blame him. Gabara, we talked about Gabara also earlier. Garuba, sorry. It's bad. No, Garuba's not bad though. Garuba is because I didn't really talk about that. I was too busy trying to work other things. He is a defense. He has like elite defensive potential. Like he could easily become a defensive player of the year candidate type player.
Yeah.
His offense is just a little
rough.
It's raw. That's how I would describe it. He can play the dunker spot. He can finish really well. It's just that his footwork really isn't there. His shooting is going to need some work.
Yeah.
Now he's solid in a pick and roll as a screener and a roll man, but the mechanics are pretty broken on his jump shot. So he's going to be pretty limited offensively, but defensively, man, he can be dangerous even at 6'8", but he's at 6'8", 229, a 7'3" wingspan.
That's crazy. And like to help y'all out with Garuba, like Noah, who is all about the draft and prospects, that is his bread and butter. He absolutely adores Garuba, so that should be a good sign for you. Who are some of the guys in the second round you think the team might pick? Weiskamp, Greg Brown, and I like Thor. That's all I know of right now. There's more, but
I like Weiskamp. I need to look at a little bit more Thor, but Thor seems a little insane.
He's kind of like that, like Bull in the sense that he has like some weird upside, like potential to be unlocked, but he's not like very good.
One of the guys the Spurs have actually worked out Trey Murphy III. He's like a late first round, early second round candidate. I would not. He is a shooter. His shooting mechanics are down, and he can shoot like no one's business. And he's running at that 3 spot. So like his true shooting percentage is a little insane. So I would not mind Murphy at all, and Spurs have shown interest in him too.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start wrapping up. We were coming up on 2 hours, which we're going to try to do these live streams a lot more often. Do 2 hours, talk Spurs, talk with y'all, talk about maps randomly and other random topics that we are going to argue about.
Yeah. Let's do one more. Oh, we already talked about that, Steven. Sorry. It's up in the air. I think Lonnie will get signed, but if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. We can still match him in restricted free agency.
Yeah, it's not end of the world with Lonnie.
Yeah.
But so Nick, where can they find your information? I know. Do you want to tell them the news, or do you want to hold off on that?
Yeah, no, I'll just tell them. So it's on the screen at Nic Yarbrough, and I am in the process of officially soon becoming a contributor for Air Alamo, so I'll try and get some like articles out within the next week or two. I'm still going through the process of getting set up for it and everything, but looks like I'll be contributing some to Air Alamo, so yay. Just at Nic Yarbrough on Twitter, NICYARBRO. And Ty, go ahead.
We're just gonna get some applause.
Oh, thank you.
I gotta take advantage of this soundboard that I have.
Thank you.
But make sure to check out my work at the Ty Yeager, and make sure to check out the Spurs Zone. Also check out Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia, where he does so much stuff. He's talking with fans, he's talking with our team experts and stuff like that. So if you ever need some like good insight, Jeff Garcia is going to got you down. Make sure to check out Spurs Zone News for San Antonio Fox 29 for all the news. I just recently broke the news that Spurs had workouts with Austin Reeves from Oklahoma and Tiago Teague as well.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Yeah, it was great. We hope to do this more. And T. Duncan, Ty is getting it set up to where next stream he should be streaming simultaneously on here and YouTube.
Yes.
So you'll be able to pick.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this stream. I'm gonna save it and upload it to YouTube so you can rewatch it there. And I just need to get a few things set up, but we're going to be simultaneously streaming on Twitch and YouTube together very soon. We kind of had to do some adjustments that were last minute. So we'll get it working. Don't worry. So make sure to follow us on YouTube at The Line Podcast. Just search at The Line Podcast or search any of our names. Make sure to follow here on Twitch. We're going to have live streams on both ends. We're going to have clips on YouTube, and make sure to follow us on Twitter at The Line Pod, where we're going to be posting a lot of clips. We're going to be posting a lot more, and that's where our main hub is in terms of finding out when we are streaming soon. I'm going to get a regular schedule going soon, but we're also going to be doing a whole draft night party.
Yeah, it'll be long.
That's going to be long. We're going to be here the whole time, and we should have all four of us on the podcast of Noah, Magaro-Geroge, Mac Pena, Nic Yarbrough, and me. So make sure, again, to follow us on all the social media platforms, and make sure to follow us on Twitter as well. For Nic Yarbrough, Mr. Fingerguns, I'm Ty Yeager, and thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, y'all.
Have a good night.
Hold on. I got this. Can I do this? Do some music.
Nice.
All right. Bye, y'all.
See y'all later.